Good morning to my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. club. It's morning tea time, so I'm just going to go on a walk and talk and have a chat to you about a book summary. It's actually overcast, as you can see. I thought it was going to be a nice day, but no sunshine so far. Bit of cloud cover, a bit of a breeze as well, so I'm just going to try and find myself a vantage point where I can chat away without getting blown away and the mic buffeted by wind. Anyway, the book summary that we're going to go through today is entitled The Fine Art of Small Talk. The Fine Art of Small Talk by an author named Debra Fine. Debra Fine. And small talk. It is a tricky subject, and I remember being in Victoria once, down in Melbourne. I went down to Melbourne with a family for my 50th birthday. That's over a decade ago. And I remember jumping into a lift, and a guy jumped into the lift, and as soon as the doors closed, he just started chatting away. And I remember that exchange was just so nice, so comforting. To talk to somebody that I didn't know, he didn't know me, I didn't know him, and we just talked about anything. Like, the conversation only went for 30 seconds or 40 seconds, however long it takes for the lift to go from a few floors down to a few floors up. But it made me feel so good, and I sat and thought, and I said, geez, if I was in Sydney, I don't think that would happen. It was a cultural thing that I felt that was, the sort of experience that I had in Melbourne. And I tend to find that Victorians are a lot more warmer and chattier than Sydney people. And when I saw this book summary pop up, I thought it would be good just to go through and identify any of the tricks of the trade, because for those who are single, for those who are looking for relationships, for those who have trouble connecting, maybe there could be a couple of lessons to come out of this book that may help you bridge the gap and possibly create some magic. Because the truth is that the little interactions have more impact and more potential than what we actually realise. Those small interactions which pop out of nothing sometimes end up creating the best friendships and the most memorable moments. Because at the end of the day, as the author says, the truth is that no one wants your advice. Nobody wants to talk to you to get your advice. What people dearly want and dearly miss is empathy and compassion. So if you can be the source of empathy and compassion, then you're going to go a long way in terms of building bridges and connecting with people that most people probably would never get to connect to, because they haven't tried to build that connection. So the author also says that the natural state for most people is to be shy, and there's no doubt about that. I remember as a young bloke, and even as a young adult, I was fairly shy, a lot shyer than what I am today. For those who know me today, they probably think that I'm not shy at all, but I do recall growing up as an only child, and I guess being protected to a certain extent by my parents, but not having siblings to chat to and young girls in the family. It was always a little bit more difficult for me to get to figure out what I needed to say and how I needed to say it in order to not make a complete fool of myself every single time. But the author here then moves along a bit and starts to talk about some guidelines to help initiate conversations. So what do you do? What do you do to start a conversation? And because those little conversations, that small talk, ranks as the second biggest social fear on people's ranking of fears. The top one being public speaking, where you're speaking loudly to lots of people. But the second biggest fear is just chatting to people that you don't know, one-on-one, in a one-on-one situation. So the author says that the first thing you need to do is to release yourself of the fear of rejection. Just to let go of that fear of rejection will help you. And the next things that the author recommends is to make eye contact, have a smile on your face, a gentle smile, not too cheesy. Introduce yourself, offer your hand. A little bit tricky in a COVID environment, but this book was written pre-COVID, so offer your hand or offer your elbow, which would make it a bit awkward, and ask for their name, and most importantly, remember their name. Because over the years, I guess a lot of us have learnt that the people that you feel more comfortable with are the ones who have basically been uncomfortable initially in terms of breaking the ice and coming over and saying hello and initiating the social transaction. So I guess the important thing, or the important lesson, is be the first. Be the first to say hello, be the first to make contact, be the first to share your smile, and move towards the person who you want to meet. And find out what their name is, introduce yourself, and take it from there. But what do you do after you say hello? The next biggest trick. What do you do after you introduce yourself and you say hello? So the author says that the best people at this sort of activity are the ones who know what questions to ask ahead of time, because this goes a long way to keeping the discussion going. The last thing you want to do is to be in contact, transact with the person, and then also all of a sudden dry up and not know what to say. So the author recommends that you use open-ended questions that are not going to get you a no, yes style of reply. Questions that are open-ended, that are going to lead the other person to talk a little bit more about their situation. So in terms of a structure to keep in your mind to help you become the best small talker that you've ever come across, the author has an acronym that they use to help stimulate and remind you of the type of questions or the structure that you may wish to follow, especially when you're a little bit nervous and all of a sudden, your brain freezes up or you get a mind blank, to use this acronym. And the acronym is the word FORM, F-O-R-M, FORM. So the author says that FORM is an acronym for F equals family, O equals occupation, R equals recreation, and M means miscellaneous topics. So basically what the author is suggesting is that you use those sorts of triggers, those cues, to ask questions. Ask questions about, where are we again? Ask questions about family, occupation, recreation, and miscellaneous topics. So, what shouldn't we do? So the no-go zones are avoid discussing controversies, avoid discussing gossip or personal misfortunes, as they may lead to people having a bad impression of you. And also, the trick is not to go too deep. Keep it very, very superficial, very, very high level, and don't go too deep with casual acquaintances, otherwise you may spook them and freak them out and end that opportunity there and then. So the last major structured point to come out of this book on how to become an awesome small talker is to learn how to listen, because deep down people want you to understand and connect with them when they're speaking. So how do you do that? Because the temptation is to fill the void, to fill the gaps with just words and just to talk yourself silly, as opposed to letting the other person relax and talk, and you do all the hard work, which is the listening, the nodding, the prompting, and keeping the conversation going. So the key trick is to learn to make the conversation more meaningful. And the secret to making it more meaningful is to be better at listening to what they're saying. Pay attention to what they're saying. Pay attention to their body language. Maintain eye contact. Nod in acknowledgement, smile, and lean into the person just a little bit to show that you're interested and to make them feel that what they're saying is relevant and is being well received. The things that you must try not to do is to don't cross your arms, because that forms a bit of a barrier and it's a bit of a mood killer and a turn off. Don't hunch your shoulders and don't fidget. Try and make a real connection. Try and make yourself feel connected and the other person to feel even more connected with you. The other trick that a lot of men seem to fall short of, because we're always trying to show how smart we are, with our pompousness and our arrogance. Make sure you don't interrupt, but ask follow-up questions or respond with enthusiasm about details you find interesting. Don't try and show off. Don't try and be the know-it-all, because by being the know-it-all, and we've got lots of these know-it-alls in our pares, people who think they know it all and try and project that they know it all, and at the end of the day they're just plain boring. If you want to be lectured, if you want to be taught, then you'll go to a university, or you'll go to a TAFE, or you go to a school. You don't want to be sitting in a classroom in a social environment listening to other people lecturing you. And another little tip that the author pops in is to try and paraphrase what people are saying so they feel heard, and this is very, very effective. So there you go, we've come to the end of another beautiful book summary, the book summary entitled The Fine Art of Small Talk by Debra Fine, and hopefully this will help each and every one of us keep the conversations going and enable us to be more interesting, more fun to be with, and not to be plain boring. So hopefully you got some guidelines there in terms of how to initiate a conversation, knowing the type of questions to ask, and the clues using the acronym FORM. So you ask questions about family, occupation, recreation, and miscellaneous topics. So I guess that's it. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, and let's be a little bit better at becoming great at small talk, and to help others around us learn the art of small talk and the science of small talk, and to help promote conversation and enable other people to feel understood, loved and engaged. And it's all about being the magic glue. Try and become the magic glue to make other people feel comfortable, to join other people to your network, to help connect people to their friends and their best friends, and be a person who is a facilitator of good mood, of good connections, and of positivity, as opposed to being the person who is breaking people apart and who's fostering an environment of mistrust and discomfort. So thank you once again, and we'll chat later. On my lunch break, we'll go through another book summary. So make the most of this day, even though it's overcast. It is the last few days of summer. Let's make the most of it and help each other get through the morning, get through the day, and enjoy this very, very unique day and our unique experiences. Γεια σας, φιλάκια from Jim's 5am Club, and we'll chat again shortly. Bye for now. Με αγάπη, Jim.